Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gargoyles Awakening Part 5 episode review. So, without further ado, the final part of the 5-parter is here. The writers made a lot of promises to us during the last 4 episodes. We're about to see if they pay off. If they do, this will be a grand start to a grand series. Read episode 4, or watch it, and its wrap-up if you can't remember where we are in the plot. As usual, comments and references to future episodes are in the 2020 moment sections. Remarks about the writer's team and from Gargoyles creator Greg Weisman are in the According to Greg sections. Season 1, Episode 5, Awakening, Part 5, Reason for Existence. To wrap up the 5-part introduction, putting the protagonists on their path through the rest of the series. To reveal antagonists and set them on course through the series, a course that will collide with the protags like a Mack truck. Main antagonist, Cyberbiotics Guards. Spoiler, Demona, David Xanatos, Steel Clan. Times, October 6th and 7th, 1994. Locations, New York City, New York, USA. The opening has sound effects behind the theme music. You don't see that very often. Most animated shows made in America also have a theme with lyrics. The lack of said lyrics says you're not watching the standard fare. This is serious from the get-go. Can you imagine if they had a theme song? I mean, I love theme songs, but it just wouldn't fit with this show. The recap starts from the first episode, as befits the last episode. It reminds us that Goliath's second-in-command, Red, and the captain both wanted the Gargs out of the castle before the Viking attack. More scenes of her remind us she's appreciative of Xanatos and wants to help retrieve his stolen discs. Then Elisa runs from commandos, the Gargs attack the Cyberbiotics installation, and that brings us to now. You really miss at this range, and it's a picture of, again, the trio in the elevator shaft with all the guns pointed at them. We've got a lot to cover in this episode, so the writers waste no time. 3 of a kind. The trio backtracks to an upper floor and make their way to the lower floor by punching through the tile. Shocked scientists, they're scientists because they have the white coats, offer no resistance. Just once, I'd like to see protags run into a group of scientists who are like Albert Wesker, Resident Evil, not Professor Fink, Simpsons. There they are in the midst of cowering, white-coated scientists. These are not what you want to see drop out of the ceiling. Lex knows just how to get the disc. Was Xanatos that specific? And if he was, how did he know? They exit via the window. Cyberbiotics guards took lessons from the guards who work for the James Bond villains. Not one hit. Well, that was pretty easy. The guards are in the window back there. 3 people with automatic weapons should be able to hit 3 large gliders. The Gargs take what appears to be a direct flight back to the Erie building. Maybe you should do a little evasive action to throw off any pursuers or watchers. Down under. Meanwhile, the commander of the underground Cyberbiotics base is receiving word of monsters. He's about to get more than that. He has a hat on, the commander. It looks like he's in the military. I don't know, it's just Cyberbiotics has some very strange costumes for their people. Not something you see every day, and that's he's looking at the screen of Hudson pounding on the big iron doors that are shutting off the subway tunnel. The Garg and Xanatos don't care about people seeing them. Hudson and Bronx bumble onto the entry. Bronx trots off before the guards can get a lock on them. Hudson falls back on his old age and cunning. He surrenders. The Sauron move. They obligingly take him inside, past the massive door. Before the barrier shuts, Bronx bursts through. In the confusion, Hudson escapes. He finds the disc by following the traditional approach of frustrating tech. Hit buttons. There's a whole stack of guards there surrounding Hudson. They have a great alarm system. These guys are quiet, too, sneaking right up behind him. And here they're opening the big, huge doors and just letting him walk right in. Let's let the monster into the lab. Nobody needs to stand in front of him. There's no way he could go forward and attack. Security in real life ranges from rent-a-cops who basically just have a fancy uniform to former spec ops operators. Go to a mall, and the loss prevention officer will flash a badge if anyone pulls a stunt. Of course, nowadays they don't even do that. But the guards at a nuclear power facility? These teams of highly trained operatives will take out even other trained personnel. I would think that since these cyberbiotics guards have automatic weapons and aren't afraid to fire them, they were previously in the military or the police. At the least, they've had extensive training. I would want them almost at the level of Bruno's commandos, really. If you're going to have that high of a security level, then hire the right people. 2020 moment. Cyberbiotics HR must be terrible. Vinny proves that they hire pretty much anybody. Then again, Genutech doesn't do much better since they hired him too. Hudson and Bronx run for it. They end up on top of a subway train. Fortunately, it emerges from the tunnels. Hudson finds that physics makes gliding off a train tricky. Back rolling down a roof isn't the best landing, but, well, like they say, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. Somehow, the disc survives his tumble. Floppies were pretty tough, as I remember, but this might be stretching it. They are in mid-roll. He's got Bronx in his arms. Keep them doggies rolling. I'm not sure where the disc was. In a side pocket, maybe? Ship shape. On the airship, Goliath and Red burst into the bridge. Here's another guy with a military-looking uniform. It's just strange. And Goliath's hefting him. Set phasers to stun. While Goliath elevates the captain standing, Red gets the data. Now Cyberbiotics has lost it all. As Goliath turns to leave, Red punches into the central column that holds the nest of wires. She pulls out a thick power cable. Somehow this causes the whole ship to veer off course. There she is, looking appropriately, just crazy. Not a normal reaction, that excitement. And she puts the power cable against the whole rest of the mainframe, or whatever that's supposed to be. Control column. This somehow knocked out their whole system, and they specialize in tech and robotics. Wonderful. Worse, engines start to explode. So, you're telling me that the city of New York allows this massive airship to cruise around even though there are no redundant systems, no failsafes, no backup power, no emergency shutoffs? Yeesh. Santos Enterprises could drop an anon tip to the FAA about cyberbiotics and wait for the feds to show up and shut the ship down. There's the fortress plummeting into the bay. 3 engines just explode, meaning they were overworked / overclocked, I assume. 2020 moment. According to Greg, Demona is a genocidal maniac. She's dangerous even to her allies because even if her immediate actions don't get them killed, she'll eventually turn on them. Greg said Xanatos wasn't aware of just how dangerous she was at that time. Heck, he still works with her in City of Stone, despite what she says later in this ep about humanity needing to be eliminated. There's always that idea competent people have. I can handle it. I've handled insert biggest challenge here, so this shouldn't pose a problem. Or maybe she's just nuts. At the least, you'd think red flags would go up when your cohort is talking about wiping out your race. As the airship plummets amid exploding engines, why are they exploding? Elisa rolls up to the edge of the bay. She's got a front row seat to the show. Goliath and Red fly over. Busted. The airship crashes into the bay. People jump from it into the water to escape the flames. How many didn't get off? I'm sure Red would have been happier if it plowed into Times Square. There's a picture of them abandoning ship. I can't imagine Xanatos was too happy with this result. In theory, it works, but the bad PR after? Nope. Well, let's assume he can get attached or tied to that wreck. Still, I think it's a little bit overkill. He's not the type to really do that much destruction. Goliath and Red also take a direct trip back to the castle. Everyone else is there. How many points is it worth? I find it interesting that Red, the second in command, hands over the disc. Shouldn't Goliath? Or she is handing it over to Xanatos. The handoff. I can only imagine what's going through both parties' minds. Xanatos takes the disc with the same level of emotion he'd show if an intern handed him the espresso he ordered. He's satisfied and pleased, but there's no debriefing, and only mild triumph. It's like he never doubted this would be the result. He thanks them and assures them that data will be used for the benefit of humans and gargoyles alike. That's a nice touch. And there he is, and there's Demona looking back at Goliath. Thanks, guys. Well, I'm off to do stuff and things with this. And he just strides off. We're not at halftime yet. We have the discs. The threat of cyberbiotics is gone. And now what? Now it's too easy. There's a reversal coming. Our viewer's senses are tingling, and we sense a disturbance in the plot. No time to think about it much, though. Goliath is off to see his, quote, human friend. Here's Demona looking pretty angry about that. Red is letting her anger cloud her judgment. It's threatening her relationship with Goliath, but she doesn't care. Red doesn't like the words of that tone. They don't have any human friends other than Xanatos. I guess Owen is chopped liver. Humanity is their enemy. 2020 moment / according to Greg, Demona knows who and what Owen is. Though the writers didn't know that Owen / Puck connection when they wrote this app. Her exclusion of Owen works as a subtle, clear clue later on. I love it when things come together before even the writers know what's happening. No doubt Goliath doesn't notice Owen's absence in her very short list of human friends. After all, when Elisa asked who knew about the clan, Goliath said only the man called Xanatos. Goliath sees Owen only as a servant of Xanatos. That would prove a fatal underestimation if not for Xanatos restraining his friend and right-hand man. Owen is the one who wants to take a sledgehammer to them in the day, remember? Don't mess with Owen. He will take you down. Not until Goliath sees that Puck and Owen are one and the same does he see Owen as anything more than a proxy for Xanatos. Slow down. Enemy? All of humans are enemies? Goliath is rational. The people who betrayed the clan have been dead for 1,000 years. He's more rational than many human ethnic groups today. Don't make descendants pay for something their ancestors did. Goliath wonders why Xanatos doesn't Xanatos prove there are good and bad humans? He broke the stone sleep. He hosts them. He treats them with respect. He treats them even as equals, despite the fact that he's a, quote, lord and a human. 2020 moment. This is such a major clue to who Demona is. In Demona's mind, Xanatos proves humans are bad, even though she and he are working for the same ends. In him, she sees what she secretly hates in herself, betrayal and subterfuge. She can't say this, of course, since she's still trying to co-opt Goliath into taking out humanity with her. She does a lot of projection. Goliath counters Red's earlier accusation that he was weak. The centuries have made her cold and unforgiving. Makes you wonder, did they dream in their stone sleep? Or did they just wake up as if they went to sleep a few minutes ago? I don't know about gargoyles, but humans would go nuts after 1,000 years of dreams and nightmares they couldn't wake up from. We cut to Xanatos' office, TV screen, and a CCTV feed of the clan. Owen and Xanatos are watching. Xanatos was just walking back from the parapet about 10 seconds ago. Red and Goliath started their argument right after Xanatos left earshot, so how close is his office? Or was there a slight delay in this? Also, there's got to be a different camera angle than that one because there's no way the audio feed would pick up on what they're saying. Xanatos is disappointed, yet not exactly surprised. Goliath, it seems, is too hard to control. A pity. Oh, red flag. This isn't what protags and supporters of protags usually say. Maybe he wants to control the Gargs for their own safety. Question is, what's he going to do with this info? Is he going to pull Goliath into the principal's office? At the very worst, will he have Goliath taken out of the picture? There's Xanatos looking a little bit irritated. Xanatos rarely gets truly angry. He sees most things as challenges to overcome, as well as to profit and learn from. Through it all, Owen is his usual stoic self. Alright, now 2020 moment bonus spoilers here. Didn't Xanatos get a report from Bruno about that little altercation in the park and Elisa being involved? Shouldn't he already know that Goliath has a buddy and that buddy is a cop? Whew, and that she is not going to be good news for this whole plan. I mean, why is he acting like this is the first time he's seen Goliath have a life outside of the castle? I mean, Goliath was gone the entire morning, day, I should say, and, that didn't really seem to faze him. He knows the tracking system went offline, or didn't go in the right place. I mean, seriously, was there no after-action report from his combat team? Like, did they not say, not even one of them come back and say, hey, yeah, so that didn't go as planned. Even if they all were taken out of commission, wouldn't the fact that they didn't show up kind of be a red flag to Xanatos? I mean, did he not even send out a recovery team to drag them back? I don't know. That whole altercation in the park with the team is one of the sort of sketchy spots in the plot. I do later have like a little musings or semi-rant about the rough spots in the plot for this first 5 episodes. I mean, I love these episodes and the plot of the whole show in general, but this one is a little bit subpar because it seems like they're still trying to find their stride. They do find it, and of course, it's just a magnificent show altogether. But I will call spade a spade and just say that the plot here in this first 5 episodes is, not that stellar. All right, so getting back to the actual blog that I've written here. The great reveal. Nobody wonders why a cop has to keep getting up here, and Elisa up back on that same building. Goliath arrives for his meeting with Elisa. She demands to know what he was doing flying away from the crashing airship. Being that he's from 1,000 years ago and a different species, he doesn't see the problem. He was retrieving Xanatos' discs. Elisa says nothing was stolen from Xanatos' enterprises. I checked, she says. She checked. How? I understand that there were no reports to the police, but perhaps, just perhaps, XE doesn't put much stock in the New York City police. Perhaps they wanted to deal with this on their own. Just because Cyberbiotics reported things doesn't mean Xanatos would. When he spoke with her in the castle, he made it clear his people could handle the situation. You know why people hire Sherlock? Because they don't want the cops involved, or the cops won't do anything, or the cops can't do anything. 3 cyberbiotics, she says. Who makes a 3 like this? She's got first 2 fingers and her thumb out. The obvious explanation to our detective is that Xanatos staged a theft. The Capanos worked for him. They didn't actually steal anything. They just made it look like they took the discs, thus making the case for the clan to steal the discs from Cyberbiotics. In reality, the discs belonged to Cyberbiotics. Xanatos conned the clan into doing his dirty work. Wow, she has never heard of Occam's razor. I mean, that is it's a lot of logic jumping there. 2020 moment / according to Greg. Greg and his team didn't know Xanatos and Fox were an item. Thus, they didn't know that the best way for Xanatos to get the discs, aside from just paying off a few guards Moriarty style, was to have Fox finagle them. As a cover, we can always say that Renard wouldn't let her near them, but I'm sure Fox could have sweet-talked Daddy. A better explanation is that it wasn't the most challenging, entertaining, or fun way to get the discs. Xanatos knows that while the short distance between 2 points is a straight line, the course to collect the most quest items often looks like a yarn ball after a cat's finished mutilating it. Make the course long enough, and you're bound to come up with some successes. Yeah, and a bunch of failures, too. And here she is giving him a bigger printout of the Scarab logo. This is some real detective work. The Scarab logo tracker came from Scarab Corp. Well, shocker. A subsidiary of Xanatos Enterprises. Elisa makes the leap that the only people who could have this tracker were those who worked not only with XE, but for Xanatos directly. Certainly no one could have bought or stolen the tracker from a robotics firm that makes tech devices. Nope, not a chance. This conclusion jumping is exactly what gets innocent people put in prison. All this means the commandos are working for Xanatos Enterprises. She reasons Xanatos probably planted the tracker himself. Again, a lot of logic jumping that conveniently puts her right in the middle of the truth. Yeah, spoilers, whatever. Alright, Scarab logo trivia. The scarab is a sacred animal in many cultures. Egypt is what we think of primarily, though. Judging by the logo, that's what Xanatos was thinking of, too, when he named the company. The scarab represents creation and new birth. It was also thought to roll the sun across the sky. The scarab god of the sun was Kefri, whose name means the beginning, the extant. It's related to the word Kefir, or Keper, to exist, to come to existence. The Kepru means transformation and metamorphosis. The Great Sphinx is known as the Great Statue of Kepri and faces east toward the rising sun. Soon the scarab became associated with life and death. The priests reasoned that if the scarab can hatch from the earth and the sun can rise from the ground, why can't man rise from after death? Even the mummy wrappings may be a part of this belief, since the scarab comes from its cocoon, the dung ball. During the New Kingdom, people put scarab amulets over the hearts of mummies. In the afterlife, the deities of death would weigh the amulet against the feather of truth at the final judgment. The amulets bore a spell from the Book of the Dead. It was a wish for the heart, and it said, "Do not stand as witness against me." So it's ironic that it kind of is a witness against him here. Further, the scarab became the most potent symbol of life, triumphing over death. This makes even more sense later on. I'll shout it out, don't worry. Now, back to the present. Maybe Red was right about humans, except not even Xanatos can be trusted. What about Elisa? She proved her loyalty when she protected Goliath from the commandos. Elisa takes the gargoyle by the horns. He has to trust somebody, and he's better off with her than Xanatos. She does the same face touch that Demona did. Alright, slow down. For that matter, stop the bus. Let's not be so hasty. Now that Goliath knows Xanatos is allegedly behind this, Goliath has options. We, as viewers, know Xanatos is aware of Goliath's fraternizing with other humans, so Xanatos is planning to act on that info somehow. Goliath doesn't know this, though. So, option 1. Play dumb and continue to haunt Castle Wyvern. After all, he was a pseudo-slave to the humans back in Scotland. It would be easy enough to do. It would guarantee them safety in this dangerous, unfamiliar world. Where are they to go if they can't stay in the castle? Out to cliffs somewhere? Doable, but the clan likes this world's comforts. Option 2. Confront Xanatos. Option 2A. Xanatos woke them. They stole the discs for him. Even Steven, they leave. Option 2B. They proved their capabilities and worth. They're even now for favors, or semi-even, but they could benefit each other. They do jobs for Xanatos while he gives them room and board at the castle. Alright, those are only a few of the options. If I spent more time, I could come up with a lot more. Each one has sub-options and options that could lead to variations too. But no, Goliath sides with Elisa. It's obvious from his body language that he isn't going to try and play both sides, keep Elisa while also trying to keep Xanatos as an ally. Yeah, Goliath doesn't have a lot of subtlety, and he's not really cunning. At least not at the moment. He gets better later on. And there he is, crushing the paper. Hey, Goliath, another idea. Elisa could be an evil mastermind who works for Cyberbiotics and set all this up. You know, actually, I put that in as kind of a funny little caption, but it is true. If Xanatos could be behind this and set up this whole elaborate plan that makes him look like the victim when he is in fact the villain, well, so could Elisa. She could just be a plant for Cyberbiotics, you know, or somebody else. Goliath really doesn't have a very big picture of this whole world, so, you know, he just goes with whoever. But, you know, he should be a little bit more suspicious of people. He also didn't know what happened after he fell asleep and how much she fought the commandos. And, you know, Goliath was there when Xanatos fought the commandos too. So, you know, just saying, Occam's razor. Alright, halftime. Wow, talk about a reversal. I love it when there's a secret antagonist. Those are often the most dangerous types. This episode is proving to be a fitting end to a great intro. The writers are keeping their promises so far. Twists and turns, loyalty shifts, payoff for previous actions. We're feeling the tension build among characters. We can sense the impending collision of agendas. There isn't a way to let this go quietly into this good night. Not with the personalities we've got. Speaking of personality, the characters are deep and lifelike. We want to see more of them. Did you see the plot twist coming? Did you, as a kid, understand all that? Comment. And then you can do that here or on the blog, and then watch the next episode. Alright, so remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next